Now, we go to the next agenda. Welcome speech and remarks. Our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we would like to invite first introductory greetings by the Director of Jasmine Kendari Foundation, Sanihum Munir, PhD, as facilitator. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Munir. Time is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be with you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you are all in your very best condition. We are many miles apart physically, but we are face to face virtually. We thank digital technology, especially Zoom platform, for making each of us present to each other in this webinar. Dear colleagues, please allow me to welcome you to the first online international conference on education, management, agribusiness, and business entrepreneurship, ICEMABE2020. From the city of Kendari, Jasmine Education and Training Foundation, as facilitator of this event, has the honor to introduce Sulawesi Tenggara University, headed by Honorable President Professor Dr. Andi Barun, as host and head of the conference organizing committee for today's event. Good morning, sir, Professor Dr. Andi Barun.
Good morning.
Yes. Our warm welcome to Jose Rizal University, Manila, Philippines, represented by Dean of Graduate School, Dr. Redentor S. Mariano. Good morning, Dr. Mariano.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. KTO Karatay University, Konya, Turkey, represented by Secretary General of the University, Dr. Hussein Ergun. Good morning, Dr. Hussein Ergun.
Morning, sir.
Yes. And Politeknik Sultan Azlan Perak, Malaysia, represented by Director and Chief Muhammad Zubir bin Muhammad Hanifa. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thanks very much for your invaluable collaboration and participation in co-organizing this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, these universities and higher educational institutions have taken and played important roles as keynote speakers, moderators, and honored personalities who will deliver welcome remarks in this prestigious international conference. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also take this opportunity to introduce our keynote speaker from the Philippines. Please welcome Dr. From Paris, please welcome Professor Dr. Ahad M. Osman Ghani. Good morning.
Good morning. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. From Turkey, please welcome Dr. Kamola Bayram. Good morning, sister. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam and good morning, Dr. Munir and everyone.
Yes. From Uganda, please welcome Dr. Mustafa Omar Muhammad. Good morning, brother. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good morning to everybody.
Yes. And from Malaysia, please welcome Dr. Aslisa Yusof. Good morning, sister.
Good morning, Dr. Munir, and Assalamualaikum to all the participants of the conference.
Waalaikumsalam. From Australia, please welcome Pamela Copper-Davis, MED. Good morning,
everybody.
sister.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody.
Yes. And last but not the least, from Indonesia, please give a round of applause to Professor Roy Darmawan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Dr. Sanihum Munir. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. From Jakarta.
Before
Morning.
coming to the end of these remarks, I would like to make a gentle reminder to our esteemed moderators, keynote speaker, and presenters to strictly stick to our time schedule so that we do not have any session that goes beyond our scheduled time frame. I deeply appreciate your valuable presence today, and I sincerely hope you will enjoy today's discussion on COVID-19 and its impact on our professional and personal circumstances. Finally, we have a golden opportunity for digital networking through this webinar. Thank for your valuable presence and participation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Munir, for your introductory readings. Our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great pleasure to invite Director of Sulawesi Tenggara University, His Honorable Professor Dr. Rizal Haji Azlan, MSc Ethnic, to address his welcome speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Profesor Andi Bahru.
Capture 4 ya. Pakai nama Mas Asin supaya dapat.
Thank you. The name of Allah, the most compassionate and the most merciful, with a deep feeling of gratitude to the Almighty Lord for His generosity. On this historic event, we have been granted this opportunity to gather in the Zoom Cloud meeting at the opening and joining the international seminar held by Universitas Sulawesi Tenggara in collaboration with Jose Rizal University Philippines, KCO Karatay University Turkey, Politeknik Sultan Azlan Shah Malaysia, facilitated by Jasmine Education Training. Salawat and greeting to the Messenger of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, especially the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his family. This event is the implementation arrangement of the Memorandum of Understanding between Universitas Sulawesi Tenggara University and Jose Rizal University Philippines, KCO Karatay University Turkey, and Politeknik Sultan Azlan Shah Malaysia, which has been signed in 2018. Distinguished guests, delegation, ladies and gentlemen, especially students as our gold generation. On behalf of the university academic community members, as the organizer of this event, I would like to express my warm welcome to you all to join this event. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, everybody.
Morning.
On behalf of the university academic community members, I would like to thank to all our partners, keynote speaker, participant, and delegation. Your Excellencies present today demonstrate the close relation between your university and demonstrate our real concern to the global issue, to the pandemic COVID-19 and economic consequences. It is my sincere hope that you present today the economic consequences of COVID-19, urgent action, and of course, as a historical momentum for greater future cooperation. I would like also to express my gratitude and appreciation to my brother Dr. Munir and the committee for their great effort to facilitate in the preparation of this forum, hoping it would achieve its objective and aims. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the life order of the world community. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a major impact on various structures of our nation life, especially in the field of health, education, economic, and society. Many emerging and developing economies were already experiencing weaker growth before this crisis. The shock of COVID-19 now makes the challenge this economy face even harder. Indeed, the theme of today's seminar is really very appropriate business entrepreneurship opportunities and challenges in the new normal era of COVID-19. Therefore, global coordination cooperation of the measure needed to slow the spread of pandemic and of the economic action needed to alleviate the economic damage, including international support, provide the greatest chance of achieving public health goals and enabling a robust global recovery. It is time for all parties to work together to find the right strategy solution, share each other. Togetherness in the business world, government, university or higher education, industry and media are indispensable in the life of the new normal era. This is also a challenge for the world of education and the government and also parties to present learning model, technological innovation, regulation and policy to stimulate the economy in the new normal era. We must always be ready and flexible to adapt to the existing change and must not to stop to continue innovating. We have to get out our comfort zone, see and be ready to welcome and be able to conquer the new norm after the COVID-19 pandemic. We must join hands, unite and share to rise to high performance, to be to the new norm and to help to leap far to build an education and business ecosystem to prepare a golden generation of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, business entrepreneurship opportunity and challenges in the new normal era of COVID-19 has to become our inspiration to work even harder to make the partnership between us more contributive in resolving any local and global issue. Every higher education, especially Sulawesi Tenggara University, has a strong commitment to take a part in building civilization at both the national and global level. At present, lecture and student quality, especially in learning process, doing research and publication, is one of our commitment to be improved. That's why we are arranged this event and why we are in this room cloud meeting today. This event also an initiation for the implementation of the Indonesian government policy of independent learning and independent campus. In Indonesia we call Kampus Merdeka and Merdeka Belajar. And also part our effort to solve the main problem of higher education regarding the low quality graduates, equitable access to education, and link and math as well. Therefore, we need to prepare our students to have the 21st century skills, namely critical thinking and problem solving skill, communication skill, creativity, innovation skill, and collaborative skill. The international seminar process meaningful sutra in facing the new challenges and produce sutra on the Sulawesi Tenggara to be an nationally and internationally reputable university with emphasis on quality teaching, research, publication, and collaboration as well. Indeed, I'm sure we have gained valuable experience and learned a lot from this seminar. Therefore, I'm truly hope that this seminar can become a bridge toward the success that we all wish for. We all realize that university is academic community. Everybody learns, everybody lecture. The strong partnership is a key factor for solving any problem, increasing regional, national, and global competitiveness. I hope we can do more collaboration on student exchange program, visiting lecture, research, training, workshop, etc., in coming years. Thank you very much for you all to participate and join this event. We apologize for any inconvenience. Wallahu muwaffiq mu'tariq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you again very much to everybody.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I'd like to thank you very much for Mr. Rector. Now, welcome remarks by Dr. Redentor S. Mariano from Jose Rizal University, Philippines.
Keynote speakers, presenters, attendees, observers, moderator, distinguished participants from Indonesia, Malaysia, Uganda, Australia, Turkey, and the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen, good day to you, to all of you. I am pleased to welcome you to the webinar on business entrepreneurship, opportunity, and challenges in the new era of COVID-19, the first large Asian African conference in Bandung, Indonesia, under the umbrella of the first international conference education, management, agribusiness, business entrepreneurship. It aims to analyze the challenges that business entrepreneurs are facing and opportunities that may arise during and after the COVID-19 outbreak. In this virtual conference room, I recognize Dr. Munir of Jasmine Education Foundation, Inc., together with the representative of my university, KTO Karatay University, Turkey, Politeknik Sultan, Azlan, Shah, Malaysia, and Sulawesi, Tenggara University, Indonesia, and the University in Australia, who have worked tirelessly on this large-scale Asian African conference in Bandung, Indonesia. I'm sure that we are also reaching out to many business entrepreneurs, practitioners, innovators, business professionals, and academic representatives. A warm welcome to you all. Dear colleague, we all understand. Okay. We all understand the importance of science, technology, and innovation in our day-to-day lives and the ways in which they are transforming the world. If this was not clear earlier, it is blindly obvious now in the time of the COVID-19 pandemic. Science, technology, and innovation are indispensable for our response to and recovery from this crisis. Equally important is our collaboration in this great effort. Our experience in education at Jose Rizal University have convinced us that it is only through multi-stakeholder and multilateral cooperation that we can truly accelerate and reduce inequalities. Yet, while critically important, my university alone won't break of COVID-19. Equally important are deployment of scientific invention, innovation, technological solution, target audience. And this is not just another scientific task. It is where policymakers, entrepreneurs, business people, financiers, diplomats, academic group come together in partnership. Distinguished guests, Dr. Munir of Jasmine Education Foundation, Inc. has invited schools, administrators, professors, students, entrepreneurs to engage in online research as a response to the challenge of the present pandemic, COVID-19. In this context, this webinar will discuss, first, the creation of a new academic community network for vital relationship. Second, theoretical and practical approaches in dealing with the challenges of the new normal in the era of COVID-19. And finally, foster the ability of education, management, agriculture, business entrepreneurship to grasp new business opportunities, reducing barriers to entrepreneurship, providing the right incentives, and boosting entrepreneurial potential. This is an important agenda, but also a Herculean one. And the time available to us is limited. But we have also heard from you through your responses on online coordinated meetings. Your inputs are much appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that by partnership in this webinar, we are on the right place and the right time. Together, let us accelerate the exchange of ideas in scaling up of good practices. I'm confident that you will find new ideas, fresh energy, and noble partnership to sustain our efforts and recovery from COVID-19 through science, technology, and innovation. More than ever, it is now the best time to collaborate, learn, engage, and succeed. I wish you all a very successful webinar. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Dr. Mariano, for your welcome remarks. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. Hussein Ergun from KTO Karatay University to give his welcome remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Hussein Ergun. Time is yours.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Dear all dear participants, I would like to thank you for this opportunity and this good event because I listened welcoming remarks, and I will say that it's an international and good collaboration. We will see 3 universities together. At the same time, I would like to share my computer just a moment. I'll see universities, University Sulawesi, Tenggara, and Rizal University from Philippines, Politeknik Sultan, Azlan, Shah from Malaysia, and Jasmine International. I would like to give my special thanks to Dr. Munir for this event, for this organization. It's a very fruitful organization, I think. And also Professor Dr. Andi Bahrum from University. It's very good speech. Thank you, Professor. Other than Dr. Maria, no, it's very important for your collaboration from Philippines and East Asia. Thank you very much. For all keynote speakers or keynote speeches, or for all students, for professors, I would like to give my thanks from Turkey, Konya. Today I would like to say something about what we are doing and for this entrepreneurship webinar, because it's very important to collaborate something from Konya, what we are doing, and because I'm not representing just in the university, I'm also representing Konya Chamber of Commerce. That's all. I would like to give some brief information about Konya Chamber of Commerce, what we are doing, and what's Konya Chamber of Commerce. Konya Chamber of Commerce is established in 1882, and it's very important hub of trade in Anatolia. We have nearly 20,000 members dealing with different sectors. After the COVID-19 pandemic, all the sectors were influenced, you know, and economic and socially. That's why we have taken some measures about these issues. Now, what we did, I'll give you something about an issue to contribute to regional development in all areas, to represent our members in national and international area. That's our main missions. To provide our members with certification, surveillance, training, information, research, and business development activities in the best way with total understanding of quality service. During this COVID-19 process, which emerged from Wuhan, China in December 2019, spread the whole world in a short time and unexpectedly and equally affected our country. The uncertain situation that started The virus has inevitably brought financial and psychological trauma all over the world. It's not easy to return to traditional normal in economic and social terms in an environment where the rate of transmission and spreading power of the infective agent infests and there is no treatment yet. The carrier is not clearly detected. Precautionary measures to restrict social life cause significant economic slowdowns. That's why some the organizations, especially Chamber of Commerce and the universities, as Professor Bahrun has said in his speech, universities and other institutions have to take some measures, have to take some actions about this because they have to keep their economic growth still go on. That's why we have making a first surveillance with 354 member companies to understand the impact of COVID-19 in Konya's and Turkey's economy and to observe the process from the viewpoint of its members. It was very important and we have some very good results and very interesting things that I want to share with you because after this webinar, I think we will take some good academic outcomes. That's why I will give some addition to this. 69 of the companies reported decrease in production. It's very important. 78 of the companies report decrease in customer orders. 31% of the companies reported decrease in the number of staff. 18 of the companies reported lack of infrastructure knowledge and digital marketing and sales. 47% of the companies reported inevitable contraction of the business. After that, digitalized paperwork procedures is increased. As we are making a webinar in a digital environment, that's why we understand that after COVID-19 and new normal era, we will use digitalization much more. In our institutions, in our universities, in our daily life, we are increasing the digital power, digitalization. That's why we have to develop some other know-how and innovation from this issue. That's why we developed Android and iOS applications for transactions for membership and other issues. The current support line we have established still with the convey the problems and solutions suggestions of KTO members and the relevant bodies of the government. List of company.com webpage. That's we are making B2B organizations online. That's if you do something like this, an online B2B something or increasing trade organizations, the members, the others, the effective will be decreased. Online B2B organizations, I'll give some much more detail about this. We have 7 online B2B organizations. One of it's from Kenya, Uganda, I think Tanzania, and Malaysia. These B2B organizations, we have maybe 50 bilateral business meetings, 11 established from Colombia, 10 companies from Korea, the openings from extreme beneficial. Nigeria, Kenya, Sri Lanka, Central Asia, Europe, Central, South America, and North Africa, we are still trying to make these organizations. Like this webinar online we are now holding, it's very important to increase digital events. Because members and students and other professors and professionals from the other areas have to gather together internationally. If we make this collaboration and cooperation much more, we will decrease the effects of, I think, this COVID era pandemic and by means of economically. In the coronavirus process, the importance of digital transformation for many companies and unique users has been again emerged. We had to resort to online solutions for training, shopping, and even meetings. In the period of COVID-19, which altered the dynamics, research existing potential customers required some aggressive moves. The situation also increased the importance of B2B and other things. In my presentation and in my speech, I'll take lots of things, but I would like to say that because of all my time schedule and short of time, I don't want to make a long speech, but I want to say that our university and Chamber of Commerce is ready for bilateral organizations and collaboration. As Professor Bahran had mentioned, we can make some exchange of students or something on MOE, the other things, because if we take measures together, we can handle this issue more less effective. That's why university students and professors and academicians and scientists will have to get together. That's why this webinar is very important. I would like to give my thanks again to all organizers. It's an international organization, and ICEMABE, I think it will be more for the next years, inshallah. This webinar will be a bridge for us together to know each other. Inshallah, we will get more and good results from this webinar. Thank you very much. And I'm inviting to all, inshallah, next meetings, next webinars, next conference, which we are holding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ergan. Okay, before we come to our main program, there will be signing of implementation arrangement between Sulawesi with PTO Karatay University and with Jose Rizal University. Well, I would like to invite Professor Andi Bahri, Director of University Sulawesi Tenggara.
You already signed, Mr. Kicuk Karatay University?
Yes, we have signed this.
Yeah.
I signed it also.
Yeah. Okay. Already signed it?
Yes, yes. We have already signed it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Dr.
very much.
Mariano and
Okay.
Dr. Ergun.
That's a good collaboration. I think we will increase our.
We keep in touch and we can arrange and program in coming years.
Inshallah.
Yes.
Inshallah.
Agree.
Agree. Oh, okay. I'm giving this speech from all the audience. We'll make a collaboration together more, I think. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now welcome remarks by Director of PSES, Dr. Encik Muhammad Zubir bin Muhammad Hanifah. So sorry for mistake. Time is yours, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable Dr. Sindu Munir, Director of Jasmine Education and Training, Kendari, Indonesia. Professor Dr. Andi Baharum, Master Science, President of Sulawesi Tenggara University, Indonesia. Dr. Rendator Esmeriano, Dean of Graduate School and Area Chairman, Jose Rizal University, Philippines. Dr. Hussein Egan, Secretary General KTO Karatay University, Turkey. Speakers, moderators, presenters, and all participants of the first International Conference of Education, Management, Agribusiness, and Business Entrepreneur, ICEMABE 2020. It gives me a pleasure to extend to you all a very warm welcome on behalf of my institution, Politeknik Sultan Azlan Shah, and to say how grateful we are to be one of the co-organizers of the first International Conference of Education, Management, Agribusiness, and Business Entrepreneurship 2020 Kendari, Indonesia, with the theme Business Entrepreneurship, Opportunity and Challenges in the New Normal Era of COVID-19. It is an opportune time to strengthen existing relationships and network, as well as to establish a new set of networking and to obtain as much as knowledge insight through this conference. It's our sincere hope that this conference will provide a platform for a better understanding on education, management, agribusiness, and business entrepreneurship, especially in relation to the challenge in the new normal era of COVID-19. And I believe that this COVID-19 enhance our pushing factor of the technology in our education. So these online conferences have been the norm due to the current pandemic, but it should not deter our institution in sharing knowledge in any academic manner. It is gratifying to note that the agenda of the conference covers 7 keynote speakers from countries in the Southeast Asia, South Asia, Europe, and Africa. I'm sure that this speaker will share on various fields that will be helpful all of us increasing our knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. Education, management, agribusiness, and business entrepreneurship are fields that are constantly being revolutionized. The revolution is not only taking place at an institutional level, but at a national and international level. So Politeknik Sultan Azlan Shah, for example, focuses on business entrepreneurship, have been produced students who are successful entrepreneurs at the moment. It is hoped that they will venture a great stride in other fields as it's an open market out there and offer great opportunity to them. Fourth Industrial Revolution is one of the main areas which is heavily discussed around the world. This is umbrella term which foresees the birth of emerging technology, and thus the education, management, agribusiness, and business entrepreneur are fields that will aid this revolution. The advancement of the technology in recent years has been so remarkable that anyone who does not keep up will be left behind. And this is something we all would like to ensure does not happen to our students. Ladies and gentlemen, the Polytechnic Azlan Shah also had been assigned and announced by our ministry and had been shortlisted as the part of 4 campuses to upgrade to be the smart campus. This is the part of the flagship in the 12th 2021 to 2025 that will be implemented. Smart campus is a campus that will apply the smart technology that is connected to the internet and driven by artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. Those in campus will be new and better experience compared to previously. For information, I have set up Center of Central Technology and Center of Excellence in my Polytechnic Sultan Azlan Shah Perak. For example, for the Department of Mechanical, we have the Center of Autonomous Vehicle. Technology, mathematics, and engineering, and also for a very special for Polytechnic Sultan Azlan Shah, we also having the Center of E-commerce, E-retail, and E-entrepreneur, and it had been a very successful project in our campus. Yeah? So the core for the smart campus are sustainable, efficiency, the people, and the security. So with the technology brought about the smart campus, the workforce will be excited, optimizing the sources available to lead the greater head to becoming institution that able to compete as part of the industrial revolution 4.0. So the preparation toward a smart campus faced a major hurdle due to the spread of COVID-19 that affected the whole world and limited the physical movement of humans. However, this hurdle led to saw the technology and the nation digitalization. So I'm very happy for my staff, my students, we try as much as we can using the current technology to enhance our institution. And I also hope that the smart campus, we have numbers of projects, whether they are engineering or IT, and many things have been planned for. And I really hope that we can collaborate with the industry and the international academic institution, and also the international industry. In my personal hope that by having this conference, issues and challenges can be foreseen and discussed. So valuable feasibility input can be gained and gathered, especially the educators to be full force and before embracing the new technology that being offered. Before I end my speech, I would like to congratulate and express my gratitude to all who have been working hard in making sure today's event is a success. It's a pleasure to have all of you today virtually, and hopefully whatever is being said today will turn out to be beneficial to each and everyone present here. Thank you, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Encik Muhammad Zubir bin Muhammad Hanifan. Our sincere apology for any inconvenience with the unexpected distraction. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we come to our main program today, the plenary session. This session is going to be led by our chairman, moderator, Ms. Siti Sarah binti Yaakob Zubir from Malaysia. Therefore, I would like to hand it over to you, Ms. Siti Sarah. Time is yours.
Okay, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Siti Sarah Yaakob Zubir, and I'll be your moderator for the keynote speeches. A little bit about myself. Currently, I'm attached with Politeknik Sultan Azlan Shah as a senior lecturer at Department of Civil Engineering. I would like to take the opportunity to thank the organizer of first ICEMABE for giving trust in me to host this very important session of keynote speeches from well-known speakers from the neighboring countries. I'm also glad to welcome our speakers for today that will present their point of interest. Let me briefly introduce all the speakers for today. First, we have Dr. Emiliano Hutuhan from Philippines. Hi, Dr. Emiliano. Next, we have Professor Ahad M. Osman Ghani from Bangladesh. Then we have Professor Mustafa Omar Mohammed from Uganda. We also have Professor Roy Darmawan from Indonesia.
Good morning. Very good morning.
Yes, we have Dr. Kamala Bayram. Good
morning. Yeah. Good afternoon.
We also have Dr. Aziza Yusuf from Malaysia.
Hi again.
And last but not least, we have Mrs. Pamela Cooper Davis from Australia.
Good morning.
Okay. Okay, before we started, just a little housekeeping that I want to say. If you have any question during the presentation, you may type it in the chat room or hold it until the designated question and answer session at the end of all speeches. Just a reminder to all the presenters, time given for each speech is about 7 to 10 minutes. I will inform you about the time at minute 9. So you have one more minute left to wrap up your speech. Okay, now without further ado, we will turn the time over to our first presenter. Our first presenter is Dr. Emiliano Hutuhan from Philippines. He is a former member of the Board of Trustees of the De La Salle University and Corporate Values Specialist. He taught many courses at the University of which among them Business Ethics and Family Life Harmony, organizational behavior, organization development, and many more. Okay, please welcome our first speaker, Dr. Emilian Tuhan. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. May I share my PowerPoint? I hope it can be seen. Okay. So the lecture is a little bit different from physical science, and it's not a spiritual science, but it is above the physical science, which is called metaphysics or quantum physics. This is the perspective I bring because most of the perspectives are really economic, social, spiritual, but very few would take a look at quantum physics. So in 1955, the Bandung Conference in Indonesia took place for the Africans and the Asians to look at a problem which was basically a colonialism problem that allowed the new nations to come alive and be by themselves. So today we are alive and we have come by ourselves to look at the COVID-19 problem as Asians and as the neighboring countries who are represented here. So like the conference, we are able to face challenges. And again, I thank Dr. Munir of the foundation and the rest of the organizers for this particular conference. The objective are quite a few. Examine COVID from the lens of a new science called quantum physics, to see the current situation in a vulnerable, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world in the age which is called the Great Period of Change. It has started in 1987, and the chaos that we experience will end in 2023. It also focuses on well-being in business rather than just money or profit, which is the traditional purpose of business. I'll try to promote personal and global empathy as the new modes of human relationships because of COVID-19. And I advocate personal and corporate social responsibility as most important in being able to survive in this period of COVID pandemic. And then the new aspect of mandated CSR, which is a new initiative coming from China, Indonesia, and India, I think is the most important thing for business to consider, government to tell business that mandate social responsibility rather than just voluntary responsibility. The methodology is qualitative research. It is multi-values. It's about telling our story, and it's about heuristic experience, and it talks about see things from a historical view so that we can make a perspective that looks back, but we also make a perspective that looks forward. So this is the basic perspective of quantum physics. Everything around us, in us, is energy. So E is equal to mc squared. Energy is mass, our body, and light, speed of light, can be translated as spirit. So if we are alive, our body is functioning with so much energy. Here is a new discovery that the old way of looking at atom, the old way is that it is basically matter. But quantum physics says the atom is 99.999% energy and only 0.001 matter. So if we translate that to our body is only 0.001%, but we are supposed to have so much energy, 99.99%. But of course, the materialistic world cannot understand this. But those who are in the spiritual perspective may have a hint that we are energy. Business has been, traditional business goes to profit as the bottom line. But the new perspective, which I think COVID-19 is forcing us to do, is to look at the well-being of all stakeholders, the employees and the other suppliers and customers. Their well-being is important. So the beautiful setting we have today is an expression of beauty, which is aesthetics. It makes us human that way. The emphasis on pollution, control of waste management, having waste management is part of the #1 issue today, which is our ecology. Mother Earth is suffering a lot from over extraction of resources, and the overproduction, it goes back as waste. It is important at this time that our emotional balance is present. This conference is about our intellectual life, being academicians and being professionals. And #6, of course, is important because money matters. We are still humans. We have to eat. We have to have shelter. We have to have things that we need, cell phones and technology. But that's only one of the 9 aspects of being human today. And most important, because of COVID-19, physical aspect of our lives, our health and safety and security has to be a fundamental issue if we want to survive. And of course, #8 is our social connectiveness. And this seminar is showing us that we are connected. The pandemic in Philippines is the same in Indonesia and all over Asia and around the globe. But the last one that is very important, business, and all of us have to recognize the importance of the spiritual dimension of each person. Here it is loosely translated as anything that is meaningful, anything that connects us, anything that is not seen but is of value can be considered spiritual. Of course, those who have religion, we know that there is Allah and there is God being translated as spiritual and religious. So, chaos and the new normal. And this is a very, very strong statement from Nietzsche. What does not kill you will make you stronger. That's fine. But the more stunning statement is from Nassim Taleb, who says, what does not kill you will kill others. This is a stark realization that COVID-19 has claimed thousands of lives. And yet, you and I are here. We are special, but at the cost of others who died because they did not survive. Taleb, who is the author of Anti-Fragile book, says, organizations have to grow when they are exposed to volatility, which is today interpreted as pandemic, so that there has to be an environment for learning and how to manage it. And we are doing very well in managing COVID-19. Okay. What do we need in this period of pandemic? Empathy. So the author says, chaos is seen as making problem and troubles for business, government, and finance. And these two authors says their solution is to simplify things. Empathize. Put yourself in the shoes of the other person. Distill. Find out the bottom line, what has to be done, so that it is clearly defined on what solution has to be put forward. This is my paradigm. The me. How do I find the me in we? Of course, if you look at me as a letter M and you put it up, the M becomes W. So the me becomes a we. But it's only a visual representation. Psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, inside me, I have to get out of myself and reach out to others so that I will understand my neighbor. So between, I use the Greek mythology, chaos, the god of chaos, and the god of Eros, and the god of Gaia. Eros, by the way, was misinterpreted for so long a time, especially of the Playboy Club mentality of Hugh Hefner. Eros is not about sex and pleasure. Eros actually is about creativity and innovation. So if Eros will meet chaos, you will have the result of confronting the problem. If Eros will meet Gaia, Mother Earth, who gives us so much, so Eros will be able to help Mother Earth find a solution that is stable and sustainable. If chaos and Mother Earth will meet each other, there is some kind of a disruption on the existing peace, harmony, which the Mother Earth is normally experiencing. What does it take to be a productive and responsible individual in COVID-19? The upper quadrant talks about corporate social responsibilities. Companies have an obligation to help those who are not financially well off, like the company that makes money. So philanthropic CSR has been defined that the company helps those by giving them fish. Corporate shared values means the company share its values so that the community is trained and is able to give back to the company. That's why it's shared values. But the most important for social development is companies should teach the poor community to fish, and they will have sustainable livelihood. From the lower quadrant, the personal point of view, social responsibility, it eventually goes to corporate social responsibility. From the self, you go out and help others, just like in a corporate establishment. So, what is responsibility? The author Nemeth says it is a privilege. The responsibility is a privilege. Responsibility should not be a burden, so that we can react and not be burdened as an obligation. So I say that the power of one, if we are responsible as individuals, we can multiply and become the power of many. And this is the way to combat COVID. The simple act of obeying, distancing, and other simple processes of washing our hands, if all of us will do it, then we can minimize, if not eradicate, the spread. But some do not. Here is a short story on the development of responsibility. Personal responsibility in the Philippines was founded by a foundation, Catalina Yap Foundation, in 1993, advocating that each person must be a good citizen by being responsible. In business, Archie Carroll developed the pyramid of CSR in 1999, where he starts with legal responsibility, ethical, then legal, economic, ethical, and philanthropic. But the most stunning development in 2013 is that China, India, and Indonesia said the government must mandate and tell business to be socially responsible. How do we respond to COVID-19? And the earlier welcome speakers mentioned of technology. So this famous author Harari says that we as humans have been evolving from a lower life form. And I found out, I thought amoeba was the lower life form we came from. Today, another scientist says lower than the amoeba is the bacteria. Can you imagine we came from the bacteria that developed to be an amoeba, that became plants, that became animals, and eventually us. We are bacteria and amoeba in our long history of evolution. But this author says we are headed to be Homo Deus. From Homo sapiens, now we are becoming like man-God. Why? Because technology is so sophisticated that we are in contact, those two hands connecting. It's no longer in the Sistine Chapel, man reaching the finger of God. Today, man is reaching the finger of technology. The issue here is, shall the artificial intelligence control us, or are we able to control the machine to our favor? In conclusion, I would say that COVID made us realize that we are connected. Also, corporate social responsibility says giving financial support is needed for survival, but we must also address the well-being of those around us. Number 3, the government protects its citizens during this COVID pandemic, but the model of China, Indonesia, and India is a good option for governments to mandate social responsibility among business people. COVID-19 also made us realize that we are spiritual beings. If you convert energy as spiritual, then we are 99.99% spirit and only 0.001 matter. COVID-19 forced us to be virtuous, meaning we don't go into extreme. We may be preoccupied with ourselves, the me, but we must look at the we in order to empathize with others. And 6, personal responsibility means empathy. What does it mean to be in the shoes of the other person? And we can have social responsibility of companies to empathize to all stakeholders. So COVID-19 may have somewhat toned down the hunger for profit, and companies may have learned, I think they have learned to empathize on the situation of those who are materially and economically poor. And the last one is mandated CSR in times of COVID will impel governments to direct corporations to be empathetic to all stakeholders. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much. I end my...
Thank you, Dr. Hutohan.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hutohan. I hope you all enjoy this interesting presentation from Dr. Hutohan. Now, we proceed to our second presenter, Professor Ahad M. Osman Ghani from Bangladesh. He is currently the Dean and Managing Director of IIUM Academy of Graduate and Professional Studies, Malaysia. He is also Professor of HRD and International Management, Faculty of Economics and Management Science, IIUM, Adjunct Professor Graduate, School of Management, Kyoto University, Japan, Visiting Graduate Faculty, College of Business and Technology of the University of Texas at Tyler, USA, former Professor, Nanyang Business School of Nanyang Technology University, Singapore. Professor Ahad will present about conflict to harmony, impacts of spiritual intelligence during challenging times. And now, please welcome Professor Ahad M. Osman Ghani. Over to you, Professor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning to all.
Morning.
Let me try to share my... I'm not sure whether I can do that, but let's try. From here. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully you can all see the slides.
Oh, it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the topic that I have chosen because of the limited time, the issues that we are facing during these challenging times of pandemic, how to transit from conflicts to harmonious relationship. And I'll be proposing that spirituality and spiritual intelligence will be one of the ways to deal with those. So my presentation will be focusing on different types of conflicts, causes of conflicts, and impacts of conflicts.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about, share with you some research on conflicts and harmony. And then we'll touch on the spirituality and spiritual intelligence within a short period of time. Now, when you hear the word conflict, what comes to our mind? What comes to our mind, the frustration, difficulty, stress, argument, challenge, and all these issues. And most of the time during this pandemic situation, these are the things we are struggling with ourselves, being sometimes confined in a very unwanted environment, and also by facing unexpected issues in this kind of thing, and how to override those issues, how to go about practicing our daily professional lives within this situation. So we can also think about the other side of the coin, that conflicts can also be an opportunity to find out the way forward. It could bring the potential for doing new things. It could also bring new type of innovative solutions and also help us to bring changes. And also it may help us to do cooperation and collaboration with all other parties. If we can arrange, we can see the conflict in a positive way. Later on, I'll share with you, conflict has both sides, positive and negative sides. Now let's try to see in a simplest term, what is conflict? It is any situation in which the individual needs, desires, or wishes of one party differs from the other. Conflicts are natural, as we know. We face conflicts in our daily lives. It is inevitable, can impede or promote growth based on what is positive or functional or negative or dysfunctional. The outcomes of conflict may take it, as I said, positive or negative. Now the issue is how we perceive and how we interpret and react to conflict can be influenced by our values, personal values, our personality, and our preferences towards our life and profession. Conflicts can begin with an individual by two ways, by our selfishness or unselfishness. Let me try to explain this a little bit. Selfishness comes from when we try to see only living for ourselves. When we take this approach, living only for ourselves, then arrogance comes in, vengeance comes in, greed and lust. These are the two very dangerous things that damages our lives. Then the issues of prejudice and exploitation, that also affects our lives. So these are the generally, among other things, basic points for having conflict. On the other hand, if we approach the things, our life from living for others rather than living for ourselves, then we can develop humility, the concept of forgiveness, generosity, fairness, service, and we can also try to control ourselves, inculcate more self-control, and which will be basis for harmony. Now, what are the sources of conflict? We can see the sources of conflict from 4 or 5 perspectives. Let's look at these individual sources of conflict, which are the disunity within the individual or the confusion of values. Many times we see we nurture one side of values, but when we behave, we have different sides of different kind of actions. That's why sometimes we suffer from something called cognitive dissonance. That means we nurture some side of values, we display different kind of behavior. The other one is family sources of conflict. And this is one of the things that we are seeing right now in today's modern world, especially during the pandemic. Family dysfunctions, which affect not only themselves, but also the succeeding generations. Then comes the global pandemic issue, which is from a national or global source of conflict. And it can also be caused by national policies, which you are seeing right now. Large powers, they are imposing their all national policies, which are affecting the future generation and the whole world. So now in today's integrated, globalized world, the national policies of one country, especially the powerful economic countries, that can have significant impacts on throughout the world in other countries. Then the other one, which I'm going to focus later on more, is the spiritual sources of conflict, which results from ancestor separation on the effect of the God or creator to our personal life, and the negative influence from the evil spiritual forces. Beside these four, one of the more important areas that we face on conflict is the organizational sources of conflict. Now, in organizational source of conflict, we have three different types. One we call task conflict, conflicts over the content and goals of our work, the work that we perform every day. The other one, the relationship conflict, the relationship based on our interpersonal relationship among our colleagues, subordinates, and bosses. And the process conflict, the conflict on the process to get the things done. Because people have different ways of doing things, they following different processes, and that results in different kinds of conflicts. Now, conflict, as I mentioned earlier, can be seen both ways, functional or dysfunctional, or we call constructive or destructive conflict. The functional conflict are the conflict that supports the goal of the groups and to improve performance. That is a functional conflict. So all conflicts are not bad, by the way. There are positive, constructive conflicts. In fact, modern managers and leaders are expecting their subordinates or managers to have conflicts within their units of operations. And many times leaders are penalized if there is no conflict within their units of operation because the decisions are done unilaterally or without making any debate and argument to find out the optimum solution rather than the normal kind of solution that we try to see of the problems we face. So in functional conflict, that means if there are conflicts in the organization, then there will be more argument, debates, and as a result of which more innovative and creative solutions can come out. So that's why nowadays it is a requirement for managers and leaders to inculcate conflict in the decision-making process and try to have a more discussion, argument, and then find out a superordinate and more superior level of decisions. Of course, dysfunctional conflict, we know, we like to avoid the dysfunctional or destructive conflict. So there are two sides of the conflict, what we like to see now. Now, what is the process of conflict? Conflict process can be seen in a 5-stage model of this one. So stage 1 in this model is the antecedents of conflict, which causes conflict, basically 3 ways: communication, structure, and personal variables. And it results in two types. One is perceiving conflict, the other one is feeling conflict. And it will have 5 different types of conflict handling styles, which I'm going to share with you later on. Then it will have the behavior that will come out of it, the parties' behavior, each of the groups, and the behavior of the conflicting party will affect the other people who are not involved in the conflict, or directly not involved, but if they are indirectly involved, and what will be their reaction that will have outcomes of the conflict could be either it could increase, is a positive functional conflict to increase performance. If it is dysfunctional or destructive conflict, it will decrease the performance of the unit or department or the organization. Now let me share with you some of the findings of the conflicts, mismanagement of the conflict, which cost the organization a lot. The total value of lost work time due to conflict, that is stress, is estimated to be $1.7 billion US at one research. I think it was 2007 research. Conflicts account for up to 90% of the involuntary departures. People leave the organization because organization becomes environment or organization culture become very toxic, so good performance cannot stay there, they leave. 42% of a manager's time is spent in addressing conflict in the workplace. You can see the leaders and managers, almost half of their time spent in handling the conflict rather than trying to find innovative process or development of the organizations. Employees are bullied, some of the employees, and these bullied employees, to avoid the conflict, on average, they take 7 days more leave, sick leave, than the others. Over 93,000 Equal Employee Opportunity Commission, which is one of the major acting, especially in the United States, claims were filed in 1 year. They will leave the compensation for that. One of the glaring examples that we have seen in the literature, Ford Motor Company had to pay $10.12 million to settle one harassment investigation of Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Now, conflict management style, as you mentioned before, it can be seen from 5 different models. By looking at in this model from 5 different ways. If you look at the
Professor, sorry for this. You will exceed 10 minutes. The time given to you.
Your time.
Yes. you
okay,
can...
let me complete very
quickly.
Okay. Now the question comes in many times, what is the best? In fact, there is no best way to the conflict. So we teach that 2 heads are better, which is collaborating or accommodating, split the difference. These are the 5 different ways from the previous model that we say. Now I'm not going to go to the details of IBM survey, which they have found. One of the things I like to highlight, one of the major findings of IBM's research, is that the flexibility in the workplace is one of the major area, and which we see during the pandemic right now. Working from home is increasingly becoming, and that was seen in previous IBM research that it will increase, and it is increasing today. So what I'm proposing right now here through this presentation, the major source of conflict can be handled through spirituality and spiritual intelligence. Now, what is spirituality? It is, as we know, if we question ourselves, do we work only for earning money, or do you like to see more than that? So the greater meaning and purposes of life in the work environment. In Islam, we know that something we call work in ibadah. If we think from that perspective, then we can solve all these issues of spirituality issues. And these are some of the research that I quoted here that we have seen recently. Some of the top leaders in famous organizations earning millions of dollars per month. Still, they are involved in unethical activities or compromising ethical standards. So we say that spirituality can help from that span. One of the major study, which was done, 140 studies, they found out this thing: spiritually enhances well-being of the quality of life, provides employees sense of. These are all well established, and in our research in 2013, we found out spirituality has more significant positive effects than religiosity in influencing employees' perspective. Spiritual intelligence obviously comes from spirituality, from the theory of multiple intelligence. Beside the cognitive intelligence, we are looking at theory of multiple intelligence from different types. Like, for example, IQ is cognitive intelligence, emotional intelligence, spiritual. There are a few other types of intelligence. But when you see how it is compared, IQ is what I think, EQ is what I feel, and spiritual intelligence is a holistic thing, what we call who I am. So IQ is the brain's body, and I say EQ is the soul's ability, and SQ is the spiritual ability. This is one I like to share with you. What we found out, IQ, normally analytical, my left brain function, EQ is the right brain function. When we say spiritual intelligence is considered to be whole brain thing. Now, what we are trying to conclude, people with high level of spiritual intelligence can transform conflict to harmony. In today's challenging work environment, especially during pandemic, high level of spiritual intelligence are needed from organization leaders, and we need to identify effective tools and techniques for developing spiritual intelligence. And it is not only for us, it is for all the generation, multi-generational workforce. All 4 generations in today are expected to exist in the 21st century by transforming conflicts to harmony. And this is my last slide. All people in today's world desire to live together in a world of peace and harmony. Thank you very much. Sorry for the extra additional.
Thank you very much, Professor Ahad. I hope you all enjoy this informative presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, before that, I would like to remind once again to our presenter, the time given for each speech is about 7 to 10 minutes only, and then I will inform you about the time at minute 9, so you will have 1 more minute left to wrap up your speech. All right, now we proceed to our third presenter, Professor Dr. Mustafa Umar Muhammad from Uganda. Dr. Mustafa worked as an assistant director at the Management Services Division for over 5 years, from January 1994 to September 1999, when he joined KNENF's IIUM. Since then, he has taught several theoretical and quantitative courses at the undergraduate and graduate levels. Dr. Mustafa offers consultancy and translation services as well. The title of the Professor Dr. Mustafa presentation is The Wealth Management Based on All Shahbani's Model and the Implication for COVID-19. Please welcome Professor Dr. Mustafa Umar Muhammad. Over to you, Prof.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Good morning to everybody, the colleagues and protocol observed due to time constraint. First, I thank the chairperson for giving me the opportunity, and of course, Professor Dr. Andy Bahron, and special thanks goes to Dr. Sanihu Munir for the invitation, and all my colleagues who are presenting today. Now, I'll be sharing with you on the topic of wealth management based on Shaybani's model and the implications for COVID-19. Of course, due to time constraint, I'll be skipping some of those slides so that I am really in time. So these are my outlines. Straight away, I'm sure some of my colleagues have shared their views on this impact of pandemic, and it affects us in different ways, not only in terms of health, but in terms of employment, in terms of job. And there are a lot of statistics out there from UNDP, World Bank, etc. But suffice it to say that based on one of the reports from the World Bank, that the COVID will push more than 71 million people in extreme poverty by 2020. And we know that the majority of the people, about 70% of those who will be affected are those from the informal sector. And one of their problems is because they also don't own technology, which would give them a digital age. Because today, when there is social distancing and what we call the new normal, then they have a problem. So the next question is, then how do we as individuals, companies in different capacities, in our different level of earnings, how do we manage our wealth to ensure what they call shared prosperity, as shared by our brother from Malaysia, Muhammad Zubair? How do we ensure that shared prosperity in our wealth management? And many of you know that in wealth why it's not moving? Okay. In wealth management, we have those cycles. Some literature, they give 5, others give 6. But I decided to choose these 4, where we have wealth creation. Once we create our wealth, we invest them, we protect the wealth, and then we distribute them. So creation relates to how we earn those wealth, and then the distribution is how we spend them. And so this is at the crux of the model that I'm about to share with you, a Shaybani's model. In other words, after earning our wealth, how do we spend it to ensure prosperity in this pandemic situation where we have impact on almost everybody? So Shaybani was actually a scholar in one and he was a student of Imam Abu Hanifa. So his real name is 900 books, and he lived for only 57 years. But his famous book that I'm about to share is the book on earnings, or earning lawfully. And so this way I'll be sharing the model from Ash-Shaybani. So naturally we know that whatever you earn, you have to spend. This is the general theory of Ash-Shaybani. So earning is called kasba in our literature, in Islamic literature. And then spending is called infaq. So we'll be focusing on the spending aspect of the model. So Ash-Shaybani, he classifies spending at 3 levels. And so it will be relevant, actually it is contextualized within our income level. So the first one is a compulsory spending that everybody has to spend, which I contextualize it to mean the middle income group. And then there are those who have high middle income. So in their level of income or in their level of spending, they will not only include the compulsory, but they will also extend to what we call the recommended level. And then the third level are those with high income, or those high income group. So their spending pattern will include the first, which is compulsory, the recommended, and also the permissible, according to Ash-Shaybani. So therefore, what are those that are very compulsory, are included in the compulsory level? There are 5 areas that those with the middle income have to include in their spending pattern. One is, of course, naturally they have to provide basic needs for themselves, basic needs for their family, and they have to extend that spending also to their parents, which is very, very important. And they have to settle their debt and save. And we know that saving serves more or less 3 purposes. You save for contingency, you save for your future generation children, and then you save for investments. So the savings becomes very important at this level. Now, there are those whom their income will improve, which we call them as high middle income group. Besides the compulsory level, they need to extend also their spending to helping their near relatives. And then they need to spend on the guests, which they will invite, whether as individual or as a group. And they also need to extend their spending on friends around them. Now, you could see the interesting thing in this model is that the pattern of spending is not only individualistic, confined to ourselves, but you ensure that whatever prosperity you have, you are sharing with the community and beginning with the people around you, and you keep on extending to others beyond your cycles. Now, those with high income level, of course, they have first to fulfill the 2 pillars of Islam, that is zakah, which is for the good of the entire society community. And many of us know we have 8 groups which will benefit from this zakah. And then we have to go for Hajj. And then you also need to expand your charity to greater community. And then the interesting thing is for the high income is that you need also to empower this group that we are talking about. The group around you, you need to give them the rod to fish, so investment. And you also need to invest for yourselves so that you have the bigger community. And then Ash-Shaybani also included other virtues. So other virtues is like caring for the environment, caring for the animals. And I found very interesting situation in Turkey, where when students come to the university, they carry food of animals in their bag, food for birds, food for cats, for dogs. So when they go to the campus, they start feeding those animals on the campus. And mashallah, when you see the animals on the campus, you think they are living a 5-star kind of a lifestyle. So naturally, this kind of, expanding this expenditure would really help us to fulfill those prosperity. So what are the implications that we can derive from this Ash-Shaybani's model? One of the interesting implications is that if all of us spend, within this pattern, we become socially responsible in the sense that we not only care for ourselves, our family members, but of course also the community around us. And this model also encourages us to save rather than being indebted. And you know with statistics that much of us are really under debt. Somebody says we work to pay debt. We don't work to improve our standard of living. And then it also encourages a healthy social development, inclusiveness, so that in our development, we don't leave others out, but we include them, we factor them in our spending behavior. So finally, that from Ash-Shaybani's model, there is a lesson also we can learn, which is related to the hijrah or the migration of the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Al-Madinah. And you know, when the Muslims migrated from Mecca to Medina, they were really financially stressed, just like a situation of pandemic. So what the Prophet ﷺ did, because the companions were trained on this idea of shared prosperity and with high level of spirituality, they were able to ensure that there was a kind of a brotherhood in sharing their wealth. They also extended their caring values and attitude. They extended their love, and above all, they had one unique value called ithar. Ithar is extreme altruism, where you love more for your brothers and sisters than what you love for yourself. So to conclude, I will say that in this situation of pandemic, where all of us are affected in different ways, the only solution that we can help in better manage our wealth is to ensure we have shared prosperity. We extend our hands to others, we care for them, we give them love, not only to the people, but to our environment and also to the animals around us, so that we have a better and peaceful world. And thank you very much for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. An informative presentation. Thank you once again. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to next presenter, I would like to remind, if you have any question during the presentation, just type it into the chat room or hold it until the designated question and answer session. Now, without further ado, we will turn time over to our next presenter for today, Dr. Kamula Bayram from Turkey. Dr. Kamula Bayram worked as assistant professor at KTO Karatay University, experienced project executive with a demonstrated history of working in the education management industry. She is skilled in the portfolio management, risk management, banking, corporate finance, and lecturing. He also strong operation professional graduated from International Islamic University, Malaysia. For today, Dr. Bayram will present a study entitled "What was the impact of COVID-19 on online shopping behavior of Turkish consumers?" Please welcome Dr. Kamula Bayram. Over to you, Doctor.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone.
Walaikum
Thank you
salam.
very much for organizers. Thank you very much, Dr. Munir, for inviting us, for giving us such an opportunity. And Prof. Andy, I just want to share my screen, my slides. I think, yeah, okay, now. Okay. Can you see my screen? Well, my presentation will be maybe very in line with Professor Mustafa Omar's presentation. He mentioned about the spending behavior. What we did, we investigated what was the impact of COVID-19 on consumers' online shopping behavior in Turkey. Well, what we find, first of all, the background of our study, yes, COVID-19 brought a very new and different approach to shopping. Since we were all under the lockdown, we want it or we don't want it, we were forced to shop online. And even the generation which was not opting for online shopping, like our parents, even them, they started to shop online for the first time in their lives. And what we find that in Turkey, for example, there was increase of 420% in online shopping for food and supermarket products. This is very important. It means for the first time in history, people start to buy food items online. Usually, when we look at the history of online shopping, we see that it started with more like books, when we look at Amazon, or IT-related items. But today, people shop everything. So let me continue with my study. We asked people who stay in Konya and who are the members of Chamber of Commerce. We asked them what was the changes in your online shopping behavior. First of all, let me give you the background of my study. We have 59% representatives of millennial generation, or generation who was born between 1977 and 1944. Before that, in literature, you will find sometimes different years for different generations. This is what we stick with. For Gen X, we have Generation X, who is 39% of our respondents. And these are individuals who were born between 1966 and 1976. And only 2% of Generation Z, who are the individuals who were born after 1995. And this is justified with that these people are businessmen. People we interviewed were businessmen. Well, 60% of our respondents say that yes, COVID-19 caused significant changes in my consumer behavior. It means they shifted to online shopping. And when we asked what was the item you most purchased, 60% said that we purchased food during COVID-19 period. Interesting that before conducting this survey, some statistics said that yes, people, the items most purchased were food, after food, household or kitchen appliances, and also clothes. Personally, I was surprised which generation went for clothing, and actually our findings show that, because we divided our findings according to generations. And when we look at products purchased online during COVID-19 by different generations, we find that when it comes to our parents or Generation X, 76% what they bought was food. So our parents, when they shop online, they bought food, and they were forced to do so because there was MCO or lockdowns in every country, Turkey included. And in Turkey, for example, those who are over 65 years old were restricted to go out at all. Meanwhile, our generation, millennium generation, they should stay at home only during weekends or public holidays. When we look at our generation or millennium generation, we see that 60% of them also were purchasing food because we have families to take care of. But Generation Z, which is our kids, what they bought, they didn't shop for food. These were generation, I was really curious, who was buying clothes. 50% of our youngest generation, or Gen Z, who are represented by our kids, they bought clothes. 25% of their shopping was on sports and outdoor items, and 25% for household items. Well, today in Turkey, maybe I go first here, we have 5 or 6 most popular platforms, online platforms. For example, in Malaysia, we have Lazada. In Turkey, we have Amazon Turkey, EPTT, AVM stands for shopping center, Gitti Gidiyor, Hepsi Burada, and 11 and Trendyol. These are the most popular online shopping platforms in Turkey. Then we asked people why you choose a particular platform. We find very interesting findings. Let me share here. In general, 24% of people go to the platforms they regularly use. You can check with yourself. For example, for myself, rarely I will look for the discount. I will go to the platform which I regularly use and where my credit card details are saved. So I will not look for my credit card for every purchase. So 24% of our respondents go to the platforms they regularly use. The next popular answer, 80%, they choose the platform because it is a one-stop platform, i.e. they can find every item on one platform. It can be books, clothes, food, and etc., etc. The next most popular answer was 20% of our respondents choose the platform because it is largest in Turkey. So popularity makes sense here. And 11% chose because they can access to consumer ratings. This was very important for millennial generation. For example, for our parents' generation, Gen X, sorry, they don't really care about what other people think, maybe because they are purchasing food, but millennial generation and Gen Z, they do really take into consideration the consumers' ratings when they are choosing the platform, the accessibility. They consider it as a transparency. 10% goes for discounts, and the other items, maybe I summarized here. Just to save time, let me show the summary of my findings. So, in general, we categorized the factors which affect the platform selection, e-commerce platform selection, into 5, which is convenience. Convenience is that the platform is a one-stop platform, the consumer credit card details are saved, access to the local supplier, and we found that 34% of our respondents, regardless of generation, they choose the platform, online shopping platform, due to its convenience. More convenient the platform, more customers it has. Second most popular answer is familiarity, or the platform I regularly use. 24% of our respondents opted for this, and benefits. 19% of our respondents choosing e-commerce platform because of the discounts or free cargo options. Popularity important for 20%, and transparency, such as access to other consumers' ratings, were important for 11% of our consumers. Respondents. When we divide it to the generation wise, we found that for Generation Z, the most important is that actually we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items of equal importance. Let's start with the green one, which is the platform I regularly use. The next one, blue one, the largest platform in Turkey. Light blue, turquoise one, access to other consumers' ratings, and black is one-stop platform. When it comes to our generation, millennial generation, they said the most important factor for them is green, the platform which I regularly use. The next most popular answer was it is a one-stop platform. So I can find all items on one platform. It's like big shopping mall. I don't have to go and search for different items via different platforms. And when we look at our parents' generation, we see that the most important for them, they choose a platform because it is the platform they regularly use. So basically, elder we get, we are not open to innovations. If we are comfortable with one platform, shopping platform, we stick with that. And before that, these are the distribution. Which platform is used most in Turkey shopping platform, like Hepsi Burada, which literally translated as everything is here from Turkish, is the most popular one. 29% of our respondents choosing Hepsi Burada. Then we have Trendyol. Trendyol, for example, is my favorite. Which means Trendway, and you really can find everything on one platform. Then we have N11 and others. We have few other platforms which I didn't mention here. These are my findings Also, it's not here, but I want to add, we asked our participants, would you like, because we asked people, surveyed people who are staying in Konya and who are members of the Konya Chamber of Commerce, we asked them, would you prefer to have a local platform, like, so you will buy only from the local supplier? Those retailers who are staying in Konya, majority, 95% of people said, yes, we would love to support our local platform because we want to improve the employability, because COVID-19 brought a lot of unemployment in every country, same here in Turkey. So unemployment can be reduced if we have a local supplier. We link our e-commerce platform to the local supplier, so we will enable the local business. Since, for example, if I'm buying today from the e-commerce platform staying in Konya, my item is coming from Istanbul or from other, let's say from Ankara, rarely from Konya. So it is important to have a local platform if we want to keep employment in our region. I think it's a good outcome and good suggestion for everyone in different countries. Also, people want their region to develop. That's why they are choosing the local platform. And as I said, it was very interesting for us to see which generation was shopping for food during COVID-19 period. It was our kids or Generation Z. Meanwhile, to sum up, our parents and our generation were the first product item we were purchasing during COVID-19, during lockdowns were food. With that, I want to finish my presentation. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kamala Bayram, for the interesting presentation. Now, we proceed to our fifth presenter, Dr. Aziza Yusuf from Malaysia. Dr. Aziza Yusuf is a senior lecturer at Politeknik Sultan Azlan Shah with 2 decades of experience in finance, statistics, business management and entrepreneurship field of study. She is graduate with a PhD in entrepreneurship, small business in 2017 from University of Science Malaysia. Currently, she is also the head of internalization unit in her institution. Her research interest is entrepreneurship, management, organizational behavior, and smart PLS application. Her research paper was published in high-impact journals such as International Journal of Entrepreneurial Behavior and Research, Journal of Entrepreneurship Education, and International Journal of Business and Management. The title of the Dr. Aziza's speech is Entrepreneurship During COVID-19 Pandemic, Nurturing the Entrepreneurial Mind Frame. And now, please welcome Dr. Aziza Yusuf. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. And good morning to all the participants of the first International Conference on Education, Management, Agribusiness and Business Entrepreneurship. Thank you very much, Prof. Andi and also Dr. Munir for the invitation. Today I'm going to present on entrepreneurship during COVID-19 pandemic, nurturing entrepreneurial mind frame. So, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize the important role played by entrepreneurs, the sizable contribution they make to the employment and also the country's GDP, and also their implications for growth. So entrepreneurship is actually the engine of investment and business growth, and also the foundation of sustained wealth creation. And indeed, entrepreneurship is the linchpin of any serious effort to grow the SME sector and also the revitalization of our economy. And right now, entrepreneurship is actually a savior to lots of people, especially to those who lose their job during due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So to better understand the dominant form of entrepreneurial activity, I divide entrepreneurship into two types. The first one is opportunity-based entrepreneurship. This is when an individual seeks out opportunities and chooses to pursue them in order to improve his or her well-being and also the community. And this is actually closely related to my friend's presentation just now, Professor Mustafa, when he mentioned about the Shah model, and I believe that entrepreneurship will fall under mandub or mubah level, right, Professor? Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think the opportunity-based entrepreneurship will fall under that level because they create the opportunity for the community. And on the other hand, the second one is necessity-based entrepreneurship. This is a situation in which one is left with no other viable option to earn a living, not as a choice, but out of compulsion, seeks out any means of survival, and also to avoid starvation and criminality. So in Malaysia, research showed that feature of entrepreneurship in our country gravitates almost equally towards both types of entrepreneurship. While some of us begin to engage in opportunity-based entrepreneurship, others might create a business startup in necessity-based entrepreneurship. So the challenge here is, however, to encourage more on opportunity-based entrepreneurship to take a firm root in the country. And this challenge is manifest at two levels. The first one is at individual level, and the second one is at the government level. But today I am very much interested to focus on the challenges at individual level. Why? Because our life is not static but dynamic. And also because the anatomy of entrepreneur consists of three things. The first one is entrepreneurial mind frame, which allows entrepreneurs to see things in a very positive and optimistic light in the midst of crisis of difficult situation. And the second one is entrepreneurial heart flame. And this one is also known as entrepreneurial emotional intelligence, or EQ, as mentioned by Professor Ahad just now. So I'm just combining it all here. And this entrepreneurial heart flame, which is often manifested in entrepreneurs' effort to nurture relationship with the customers, relationship with employees, as well as relationship with suppliers. And the last one is entrepreneurial gut game. And this refers to the ability of the entrepreneur to sense without using their five senses. And this is known as intuition. So in order for us to stand out from the crowd, whether we are working for an organization, or we are running our own business, or we are the new entrants to the marketplace, we must show and exhibit an entrepreneurial mindset. So what is entrepreneurial mindset? It can be defined as a way of thinking that enables us to overcome challenges, be decisive, accept responsibilities for our outcomes, and it is a constant need to improve our skill, learn from our mistakes, and take continuous action on our ideas. So anyone who is willing to do the work can actually develop the entrepreneurial mindset. But here's the thing, the biggest killer of the entrepreneurial mindset is not what we actually would expect. It is not the failure, it is also not the economy, it is neither it is bad ideas, but actually what is it that actually matters, the biggest killer when we embark in entrepreneurship activities? It is actually the doubt. So the doubt that actually kills. It is whether the doubts in ourselves, whether the doubts in our surrounding, or the doubts in our abilities. So self-doubt kills many dreams. Actually, it really does. It really does long before any external factors can come into play. So most of the people, they are very afraid to start pursuing their dreams. Or if they do start, they turn back at the first signs of struggle, convinced that they don't have what it takes. And this is why our thinking is so important to get right in the beginning. So being an entrepreneur actually starts with that feeling inside us, that entrepreneurial spirit that we need to nourish and also hone. So what I'm sharing today, I would like to share the 5 most important entrepreneurial mindset that every entrepreneur should have. So the first one is decisiveness. In order to succeed as an entrepreneur, we must gain the ability to look at the problem or situation and digest all the available data at one point in time and make a confident decision to move forward. So our ability as a decision maker will make or will break our future success. So it's either one, whether it's going to make or it's going to break. In fact, the opposite end, at the opposite end, indecision is one of the greatest causes of business failure. When we can't decide what to do, we are actually delaying taking action. So in other words, we do nothing. We end up doing nothing at all. So think about how many dreams and businesses failing to take action has killed. Like many other skills an entrepreneur needs, being decisive is a skill that can and should be practiced and strengthened in our day-to-day life, starting with actually the very tiniest decision. And the second one is confidence. So there are many skills that we need to learn to accomplish everything we want in our life. But how do we act confidently when we don't know what we are doing? So we must learn to act with confidence, which is the second characteristic of entrepreneurial mindset. And one of the most important qualities of an entrepreneur. It is essential that we get used to the uncomfortable feeling of knowing that we don't know what we are doing, like I'm doing right now. Actually, I don't know what I'm doing. Whether it's getting on stage to speak, launching our new product, or learning how to start a blog and publishing our ideas to the world, we tend to see others doing it and incorrectly assume they have always been good at it. But actually, they were not born knowing how to speak confidently. People were not born knowing how to launch successful products, and but how did they do it? Because they learned. So if they can learn, so can we. So the difference between appearing good or appearing bad at something is often a matter of acting confidently. Actually, I'm reminding myself here. And the third one is accountability. So the entrepreneurial mindset comes from taking responsibility to our actions and outcomes. We need to internalize and accept that everything that happens at work, we are responsible for. Everything that happens to our business, it is also our responsibility. So from this moment forward, especially right now in the era of pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, we must accept responsibility for everything in our life and hold ourselves accountable to it. I'm sorry to tell that nobody cares about how little time we have, about how little money we have, and also about how little external support that we got in order to accomplish our goals. But our circumstances may not be our fault, but they are our responsibility, especially right now. The fourth one is resilience. So as an entrepreneur, we will need to learn to deal with making mistakes and failing, and they are inevitable and a part of our growth. So if every misstep plummets us into self-doubt, we have to change the way we look at being wrong. So this mindset shift takes resilience and is foundational to the entrepreneurial mindset. Actually, success rarely happens in a straight line. Taking wrong turns and making mistakes is something that happens to everyone. I remember my late father used to tell me, he said, the only people who do not make mistakes are the ones who don't do nothing. So we have to do something, be resilient in order to survive in the business market, especially. And the very last points of entrepreneurial mindset is humility, which is humility is freedom from pride and arrogance, and it ties all the characteristics of entrepreneurship. From decisiveness to confidence, humility will keep us focused and centered. From accountability to resilience, we will continue to move forward through failure, through mistakes, and through upsets. So this is accomplished with humility. I remember one of the saying that says, if you are the smartest person in the room, then you might be staying in the wrong room, because someone else in that room must be smarter than us. So along with humility comes coachability. So this is when if an entrepreneur have this humility mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, it is their willingness to be coached by other people, by other successful entrepreneurs. So if we want to accomplish big things in life, we need to be willing to learn from others and nourish a growth mindset. So to be clear, mastering your entrepreneurial mindset is not easy, and nobody said it was. The most important thing is to start by following a proven formula, which means get coached. Before I end my speech, I would like to share a quote from Jack Ma, which said that if you have a different mindset, so you will have a different outcome. So it's very important for us to have a different mindset today, especially in this era of COVID-19 pandemic. So thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Asliza Yusuf. I hope you all enjoy this interesting presentation. For me, I must take this opportunity to speaker in future. For your information, Dr. Asliza is my boss at Internationalization Unit in Politeknik Sultan Azlan Shah. Okay, without further ado, now we proceed to Professor Roy Darmawan from Indonesia. Currently, Professor Roy Darmawan works as a lecturer at the Faculty of Economics and Business, the University of Indonesia since 2006. And he also a lecturer in Master of Management, FEB University of Indonesia since 2007. And he is expert team of Coordinating Minister for Economic Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia for the National Single Window and National Logistics System since May 2012.
Good afternoon.
Please welcome Professor Roy Darmawan. Over to you, Prof.
Good afternoon, the Chairman of Conference, Rector of University Sulawesi, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I use my slide. The title is Combating COVID-19 with an Agile Change Management Approach. The condition of pandemic make many differences. So the condition and now and the future is have characteristic unpredictable, uncertainty, unmeasurable, uncontrollable, unforeseen, and unsafety. So we cannot use all assumption applied to our condition. The condition about change is now increasingly recognized, that the constant one now is uncertainty and the certain one now is rapid changing. The constant one now is uncertainty and the certain one now is rapid changing. The relative stability and predictability of business and any condition become uncertainty, unmeasurable, unforeseen. Intense global competition, rapidly changing in technology, economic fluctuation, shifting demography, and other dynamic conditions require us to be adaptive and swift. Ladies and gentlemen, the unpredictable of the COVID-19 pandemic require us to pivot a dime. The coronavirus has forced many of us move office into their homes and learn new way to manage their work amid a host of other personal responsibility, contains providing childcare, educating their kids, and maintaining their family safety and health, whilst social distancing policies change their access to support system is a combination that contributes to anxiety for workers and employer alike. For organizations without a crisis management plan or change management processes in place, having to implement all of this sudden change exacerbates as a precarious situation. But all is not lost. Organization can find way to maintain employee engagement and sustain productivity in the new normal. Ladies and gentlemen, the uncertainty make we need to have orientation about safety and also about stability of economic. And COVID-19 impact on people, operation, and businesses. We know that the first is the condition rapid spread. Yeah. The coronavirus, which started in Wuhan and was reported in January 2020, has quickly spread to more than 200 countries. And the second consequences is economic uncertainty. Yeah, IMF said they anticipate COVID-19 to be the worst economic fallout since the Great Depression. Uncertainty around the pandemic in the absence of any vaccination, the uncertainty around coronavirus is expected to remain high as case continue rise. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, to combating pandemic of COVID-19, we can use agile change management approach. Yeah. We know that the Palo Alto School of Management said that if you want to change is twice. The first is make change in our mind, and the second, implement the change in our mind into reality. So the first change is in our mind, and we facing difficulties because the economist, the very famous economist John Maynard Keynes, said that the difficulties in the world, the very difficulties in the world is not to make people accept new ideas, but to make people forget old ideas. So for us, it's not easy to make people forget old ideas. We can see in the table 5 activities contributing to effective change management. The first is motivating change, and the second, creating vision of change. The third is developing political support. The fourth, managing the transition of change, and the fifth is sustaining momentum to get effective change management. Ladies and gentlemen, very important for us to get resilient leadership and action, central response office activation, partnering with stakeholder, communication on making excellent communication, new digital way of working, and the most important is use new assumption. We cannot use yesterday assumption for today's life, and also we cannot use today life assumption to tomorrow condition. So for us to implement change management approach to navigate through COVID-19 pandemic, the first is leading and inspiring employees amidst a global pandemic is only possible with compassion for workforce and communities. The need of the hour is for leadership to focus inside and then outside. This will enable them to lead from the heart and mind, combination about heart and mind. So Professor John Kotter from Harvard University said in the title of the book, The Change have the side and side of soft change management. And change management contains the condition that not same for every condition, not same for every culture, not same from its time. And the expert of change management, Professor John Kotter from Harvard University, says the condition, you can see in the graphic, when the change is held, denial. People will denial, and then after denial can be frustration. Also, if frustration cannot handling excellent, can be depression. But after Great Depression, some people, even almost every people, get acceptance. After acceptance, some people, every people get commitment. This is a general model. And we need resilience to make change management, especially resilient leadership to make change management implement. And we need to make people can see about reality. And in change management condition, very important for us to make people can make difference perception and reality. So I will close because near of solar time. Professor John Kotter from Harvard University give X-step plan for implementing change. The first is create a sense of urgency of change. The first and the most important is create the sense of urgency of change. So change management main role is to make people see the urgency of change. Ladies and gentlemen, we also need to communication on the go and also make shared vision from chairman or leader of change to all of us, and see the new digital ways of working and adapt digitalization to make change management process is success. In this testing time, we must support our teams with empathy and optimism. This will foster to the teams focus on what can be controlled as opposed to being consumed by the chaos. This act alone can make a world of differences. We need agile transformation. We need also apply combining building culture and strategy, and also you can see the integral agile framework. We need to combine leadership and engagement, practice and product, organization culture, and relationship and organization structure and environment. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Miyagi and Johnny says, never trust a change agent who does not dance. Ladies and gentlemen, if Prahalad from India ever said to us and become a closing statement that if you don't change, you die. You can either take action or can hang back and hope for a miracle. Miracle is fascinating, but unpredictable. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Roy Darmawan, for an informative presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, finally we have reached the end. Our very last speaker for the day, Mrs. Pamela Cooper Davis from Australia. She began her professional life as a teacher. She then studied psychology and education in her first degree and followed it with a master's degree in sociology and psychology. She has worked as psychologist in schools and the community, as well as the early intervention setting. Since she retired, her current interest is in preschool education in Indonesia. And once again, please welcome Mrs. Pamela Cooper Davis. Over to you.
Thank you, Ibu. Thank you. Okay, so my last presentation is about education. It's about, are you seeing, no, you're not seeing me yet. I'm sharing the screen, yes?
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, fine.
I have very little time left to say what is very important, but thank you everybody, all the preceding speakers, for using many of the words I need to use. For me, COVID is simply doing what has always happened. It has highlighted change in a map. It has compelled us to change in ways we had not envisaged and at a pace we could not at all imagine. And for me, the most important thing out of education is, are you seeing one slide or many?
Many.
Many slides. Many slides. This
one I want. Okay. Okay. So I want to speak briefly about early childhood education. Okay. Okay. I have some concerns. You can see my gray hair. I have been around for a very long time. I am a practitioner, not an academic. I make no apology for that. I am most concerned about many things. The thing I am most concerned about is having well-trained teachers. You talk about being a smart world. Unless you have education, you will not be a smart world. Unless you have education from the earliest you will not be smart enough. Teachers, well-trained teachers know not just what to teach, but they learn how to teach. There's a world of difference between child-minding services for children 3 to 6 years old and quality childhood education. It actually depends on whether you see education of young children as a cost or an investment. I believe it is an investment. Quality training must be able to tailor education to the needs of every single child, not just the able ones, also the ones who need extra help. Teachers need opportunities for networking. They also need opportunities for upskilling. And thankfully, with advances in education, we can have both. But I'm not blind enough to realize that in all parts of Indonesia and in all parts of the world, technology doesn't reach. In fact, I had many problems with my internet yesterday. But having access to quality training and having access to quality training through upskilling and technology, we can get there. The sky is the limit. But first we must consider our culture. Culture defines the context in which we live. It's much more than history. It gives us a starting point as well as a direction. The wise founding fathers gave Indonesia the Pancasila, and I believe it's a perfect place to start. Let's start with a framework. The framework is science. Science is knowledge, and knowledge in its broadest definition. Many people have mentioned science today. Arguably, it's the most important, all-encompassing aspect of education, because it's the foundation which provides a framework for mankind's progress and civilization. We can choose to stand under the umbrella or outside it, but we must take the consequences of our choice. Many people have talked about survival, and others have talked about thriving. I believe science gives us a method for understanding our world, which is not just factual, it is transformational. And learning to think critically is essential if we are having to survive. And this is where we are now. Science demands critical thinking. If we come to language, children in a new normal world must learn to interrogate what they hear and what they're told, because not everything on the internet is true. And the West is by no means the best. Critical thinking demands both underpinning of receptive and expressive language, and the lingua franca is so important because but it is important as well not to use the underpinnings of a society. Local languages must be accorded a status which accords with the reality rather than a bureaucratic dictate. I am concerned because it's not good enough for a teacher to use homegrown Indonesian in the classroom. The highest standard of the lingua franca must be used, and in addition, the teacher's handwriting must be exemplary, and the children need to be taught. A teacher's model should never provide errors which become children's habits. So let's add green, the mathematics. It's much more than counting. People think that all that young children need to do is learn to count. Hello, it's not. It's simply a beginning. But learning maths in early childhood must be practical, a hands-on activity. Unsurprisingly, mathematical vocabulary, concepts and logic form an integral part of life, even for a young child. Every opportunity should be taken to ensure that before school entrance, children have a good grounding in basic concepts and can use mathematical language with ease. That's on the way to being smart. Okay, yellow for the arts. And this is an area I am most concerned about. In Australia, we talk about STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and now they say you must include the arts. Like the yellow of sunshine, creativity gives life to our lives. It is essential for problem solving. Providing the opportunity to be creative in early childhood sets the scene for permission to nourish our adult souls and to choose to be creative in a variety of ways. The encouragement of creativity is vital if we are to survive, let alone thrive. The health of a country depends on the health of its citizenry. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Social capital is arguably the country's most valuable resource. It should never be squandered at the expense of so-called development. What point is there decrying a problem of stunting in young children when contributing factors are not dealt with? This may be controversial, but governments worldwide would do well to seriously equate the revenue gained from promoting practices which make people sick against those which the cost of ill health they create. Even television has its part to play. Healthy decisions cannot be left up to the home where TV and big business dictate. How can a country demand a good diet for each and every child? Physical education, okay, it includes health. Many of these things are not exclusive to one another, but it should form the activity, the basis of an activity activity curriculum. And remember, teachers, older children can provide much better models than teachers, especially if you're doing a somersault. The surviving in an atmosphere of competition and cooperation, which we've heard of today, must be taught in preschool setting. The aim should be on individual improvement. No matter when or where, a positive attitude towards education can only enhance life. Encourage a positive attitude through quality early childhood education. Children in preschool learn the conventions and routines of education. They learn how to listen, how to turn take, how to encourage others, and how to respect and communicate well. They learn much more than memorizing. They learn to think. They get confidence from being valued. And with confidence comes competence. In a society where respect flourishes, there's no need for tolerance. Respect is the word. And most importantly, in my mind, learning should be a challenge, not a threat. Mistakes are the rungs of the ladder of learning. So encourage, emphasize, and nurture effort, and your goals will be reached. Early childhood sets the scene for lifelong learning, for survival, and it is the foundation upon which all of us and all our subsequent learning rests. It must be strong. Life is not a spectator sport. We are all in it, COVID or no. And even without knowing the rules, and I believe that COVID will be with us for life, we are playing for all we are worth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Pamela Cooper-Davis, for an informative presentation about early childhood education. Okay. We will now open the question and answer session. If you have any question, please drop your question in the chat room, or you can unmute your mic to ask. Please, if anyone has a question, you can type on the chat room, or you can unmute your mic to ask.
I have a question to.
Close your presentation, Pamela.
Yes, Miss. Yes, Mrs. Pamela.
May I ask? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will start from the last presentation. It's very interesting.
Okay, doctor.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Pamela?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
About education, childhood education, early childhood education, it's really very important and timely presentation. However, you know, with COVID-19 now we are facing new era of education. We call it new era or online distance education, which is really challenging. Like for us being in higher education, it's easier to deal with undergraduate or postgraduate students since they have self-discipline. But when it comes to our kids, especially first grade, second grade students who are like 7, 8 years old, who just started their education. For example, I have my colleague who is really going through challenging times. Her son just started school last year, and suddenly with COVID-19, the education was abrupted and they moved to online education. And basically students at this age, they constantly need their parents next to them, but parents have to work. So kids, they should manage their time themselves. What do you think? Do you think it is better during this time to postpone education for 1 year until COVID-19 is over? Or should we continue with our curriculum as it was planned during COVID-19? This is like a thing it's really making us busy, this type of thoughts, because some people said it's better, let's just get it frozen, all education for, especially for youngers. But as you are the expert, I am really interested in your...
I'm not an expert, but I do have opinions. One of the opinions I have is the number of children I see who are using their mum or their dad's phone. Why don't you use that as a common platform for education? The children want to do something. They don't want to be bored. Give them something to learn from a central technical ability. I think the government can be more creative and be more socially responsible in our country as well as yours, because there are opportunities that technology gives. Every child can use a phone for technology. Make it interesting and they will come. I understand the pressures of parents. They are not confined to Indonesia, let me tell you. They are very well present here and they will come back, I'm sure, because although we have a COVID-free environment at the moment, it will not last. So use anything you have, older siblings, younger siblings, and maybe the social, what they will learn is more social than academic. But I think if you were to look at the curriculum, it can actually be distilled into simplicity of just one step at a time. And every parent should have access to the curriculum to see what they think is important. That's my idea.
Okay, thank you very much, Pamela.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Bayram and Mrs. Pamela. Okay, there's any other question from the participants, from the speakers?
Yeah, I have a question, but I have a question for Prof. Roy Darmawan. I am very much interested on your presentation on change management. So in order for us to make changes, regardless of change on anything in our life, in organizational matter, so the first step is to create agency for that change. But knowing that we have different background of our staff, they come from different background, they have different cognitive level, they have different perception. So when we create the agency for the change, this could lead to panic, right? So could you please share with us how to create the agency without actually creating panic among the staff when we launch the change in our organization? Thank you.
Dr. Aslisa, thanks for the question. I think the real condition is make a little panic about create the sense of urgency of change. Yeah, but the panic we need to use panic to enforce people to give the best effort and the best attention to make us to see the condition as very urgent. If we not make of urgency, we get big difficulties. Sometimes the condition make a panic, but we need to manage this condition not to become a very negative impact of panic. But I think the process of change management sometimes make people like when we use the car, Karatay in Malaysia, we sometimes need to push the tombol to make we mengebut, we go fast to the final destination. But sometimes when the condition not very danger, we also make a flexibility. I think that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for answering.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot.
Okay, there is another question. I will open for the last question from the audience, please.
Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon.
Thank you so much for the time. I am Agnes from the Sulawesi Tenggara University.
Yes.
I have a question, and this question for Mrs. Alisa Yusuf. I'm sorry if I am wrong to pronounce your name, ma'am.
Yeah, you pronounce it correct.
A while ago, in your presentation, I took a picture from your screen. So it is written that entrepreneur mindset is a way of thinking that enables us to overcome challenges, be decisive, and accept responsibility for our outcomes. So here, because this is about the entrepreneurship, and there is also on the next side, if I'm not mistaken, there is written that ability to make decisions to move forward. If I'm not mistaken, it's like that, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question, and this question is really relating to what is really the issue that the world have to face right now, especially in this pandemic situation. So my question, just to see the young people right now, how they are trying to solve their problems, especially in the economic matters. So my question is what the ability to make decision to move forward for those who are, those who are staying in the difficult places. For example, there is no internet, there is no connection at all to make this entrepreneurship. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much for your questions. The issue of my speech just now is about setting the correct mindset. The correct mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, to face the challenging time of COVID-19 pandemic right now. So what entrepreneurs can do during this pandemic, and I understand that we are living in different parts of the country in the world, where in some places they are very much impacted by the pandemic. But as I mentioned previously, this entrepreneurial activity across the world, it is challenges for individual as well as for the government. But what we can do is we can focus on individual level, because at the government level, definitely we cannot interfere with that. They have their own agenda, they have their own framework. So for us at individual level, how do we create the correct entrepreneurial mindset is, first of all, we need to set the clear goals, right? So setting a goal, speaking it to the universe, writing it down, mentioning it to the friends and family who with you hold accountable, can actually subtly influence aspiring entrepreneurs to work towards that goal bit by bit each day. So if you don't feel like you have clearly articulated your goal, set aside sometimes and try to brainstorm again until you know what you are aiming, even though we are in a very difficult situation right now. So first of all, it's very important to set a clear goal. And the second one is to practice to being decisive. Remember the first point of the entrepreneurial mindset just now that I shared with you. It is about being decisiveness. So regardless of whoever we are, whether we are an entrepreneur or we are an innovator or a new business owners, we have to develop the ability to analyze the situation, absorb the relevant data, and also we have to make confidence decisions. That's why I said just now, another element of the entrepreneurial mindset is confidence. And at the same time, it is also very important for us to redefine failure, because failing typically has negative connotations, you know. But the best entrepreneurs, they can turn failure into something positive. So failing indicates that you have tried something, which can be scary things to do actually, but true failure is not, true failure, every one of us, we are very afraid of failing, right? But the true failure is happens when we are not trying anything. So practice failure dialogues. So you can do this in your notebooks or with your friend. Have them ask about your failures every day for a week. Answer honestly. And soon you may find that instead of feeling shame when you discuss your failures, you feel pride at showing off what you have attempted to do. And next is what you can do is try to face your failure. Try to face your fears. Everyone has fears, including me. I also have fears. I actually have fears for the questions that the audience are going to throw to me right now, because I'm afraid that I cannot provide the correct answer to the questions. But like it or not, we have to face our fears. And many entrepreneurs, they are very fear of public speaking. They are very fear of failure and embarrassment. So the only way to chisel away at that fear is to expose yourself to it. So that among other things that I can share with you, what you can do in your difficult situation. First, I repeat again, is try to set the clear goals and try to practice, redefine your failure, face your fear, and also remain curious, because curiosity is one of the most important traits for entrepreneurs. So to constantly learn and maintain your competitive edge, you must always seek out new people and new experiences. So never lose the curiosity to see around the corner, what is it around the corner that you can see. So remain curious. So yeah, that's all my advice for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Asliza. Okay, I think that's all for the question and answer session. Okay, thank you for the question and also briefly explanation from our speakers to answer those questions given. Alright, thank you once again. Last but not least, thank you for all the speakers for sharing your insight and expertise today. Before we end this session, I would like to apologize for any mistakes and inconvenience throughout this session that I handle, and I will improve in the future. Okay, so thank you very much, and once again, I will pass the mic over to our MC.